All right, Ivan, how are you today?
Very good, very good. How are you, big fella?
No, not too bad. Another holiday today?
Another holiday, another day, another holiday, another penny.
Well, that's right. That is correct. That is it. We spoke about holidays last week and we said that there aren't more holidays in Spain than other countries, but it is interesting this time of the year because there is a series of holidays. And then in December, we also have another pretty heavy holiday month, I think, right, with
Yeah,
Christmas and
that's
everything, which is what we're going to
exactly
talk about today.
exactly talking about holidays. Well, let's don't give up on the topic and let's get in the Christmas. Now we have left behind Halloween or well, whatever is the flavor of Halloween that is being celebrated in Spain. I think getting more and more into the society and the kids
Yeah.
with the treats and everything. I guess any excuse is valid. But yeah, I think the next big one on the calendar is Christmas.
Yeah.
Going to the supermarkets, I see a few of them already putting like the Christmas sets and the Christmas products out there.
Yeah.
So let's get
Yeah.
ahead of the calendar
That's right.
and talk a little bit of it.
I've noticed that panettone is hitting the supermarkets. I think that's an Italian Christmas product, but here in Spain it's taken off as well. Sort of
It
like
is. It is.
that what you just mentioned there, Ivan, Halloween. Um, I imagine that in Cantabria and Santander, when you were growing up, nobody celebrated Halloween, right?
Nah,
It
no
was
chance.
something that you saw on the movies.
Absolutely,
Um,
100%.
that's it. And here in Madrid, obviously now, and probably even around the country as well, people are celebrating it because I think it's an excuse for another party, to be honest, right?
Yeah, exactly, and it's because it gets the kid more involved as well,
Mm,
and because obviously the television, the kind of like maybe Anglo-Saxon culture, mainly
yeah,
American, I would say, in the television here, you get that influence you see on the telly, and it gets more familiar with it. So I guess we are
that's right.
adopting those kind of customs.
Well, that's exactly right. And then the department stores get in on the act, and
Mm,
there's costume shops popping up around the place. Everybody's selling the pumpkin, the plastic pumpkin heads with lollies in them, and so it is becoming more and more popular as the years go by. Halloween, but anyway, let's get on to the topic. So Christmas, we're leading into Christmas. Christmas in Spain. I'll get this on the record just before we begin, Ivan. Christmas for me here in Spain is a very long event, too long
I wonder
personally.
why.
Well, it starts with the Christmas lottery, which we're going to talk about, and then it just goes
Correct.
on and on and on and on, and doesn't really finish until the 6th of January for a lot of people, right?
That's it. I don't know if many of the people out there in the community are familiar with it, but yes, we start with the lottery, as you have said. That is kind of like the trigger of all the different events. But as we have already discussed, supermarkets and that is all around the world. They are trying
Yeah,
to do the marketing well ahead in time. Sometimes
of course.
even from the last bits of October and just getting crack on whole November and whole December and the three West Men's, as you have said, on the 6th of January, that will
Yeah,
be like the end. So, yeah, we
that's
will
the
talk a
end.
little bit about it.
All right, good. So tell us about Christmas in Spain, Ivan.
So, okay, so I guess it will be worth to mention the typical thing that it will maybe start and getting into the Christmas mood, as I said, apart from the supermarkets and all the marketing
Yeah.
scene around this kind of like
Okay,
event and the
so
consumerist event.
Okay, so we'll talk
Yeah,
about the supermarkets firstly, right? So the supermarkets begin to put all of the Christmas products out, and here in
yeah,
Spain, the Christmas products are quite unique in the sense that there's lots of what they call here turron, which is a type of nougat, which is a tradition. Lots of
correct.
other types of sweets and things like that.
Exactly. Mainly the marzipan, mazapanes,
Hmm.
and polvorones. I don't know if even has a translation to it,
Don't know, don't know.
which
It's a
take advantage of
type
the.
of biscuit or sweet, isn't it?
Um, yeah, we said like an almondy. I wouldn't define it as a biscuit because it's maybe too crumbly to
Okay,
be defined as a biscuit. But yeah, maybe next sessions we can organize something, and I will tell you how is
Okay.
the tradition to eat polvorones.
Yeah, okay, good.
Because I have seen so many people eating the polvorones like straight from the bag, and I think, well, I don't know if this is like my family thing or maybe some people in Spain. You in order to make it a little bit more steady, you just crunch it with your hand, and you eat it like that when it's a little bit more consistent rather than crumbly one powder.
Okay. All right, good. So you try to get some consistency when you eat it.
Exactly. So yeah, just to go quickly. So Christmas lights, I was checking, and usually in Madrid is the last Thursday of November. Probably in other cities you will have it's quite of an event, like the turn off of the lights or the official one. Sometimes they do some testing, so you can see the lights much early on. Turn it on, but walking through Gran Via and Preciados, I can see the installations are already up there, so they are going on through this as soon as possible, as you have
Christmas
mentioned.
lights, yeah. So and that's also something that has become big. There's a city in the north, the west, I think Vigo, where they pride themselves on their Christmas lights. The mayor of Vigo, I think it's the most important thing that he does all year is turn on the lights, and I think they even turned them on a bit earlier this year, just as a test run or something, as you said, right? And it does make all the newspapers, all of these fantastic Christmas lights, and the local councils try to outdo themselves with light shows.
Yeah, maybe at some point we will be in the middle of June and we will have some Christmas lights already on.
Christmas in July, as some people celebrate in different countries. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. We will catch up with the Aussie Christmas right in the sun.
Well, that's the Christmas in July, I think. So people get a wintry Christmas. That's right, because in Australia, which we'll speak about in a little while, it's a summer Christmas. So it's a lot different to the way it's celebrated here. Sorry for interrupting, Ivan. Go on.
No worries. So yeah, let's crack on with the next one. As you have mentioned, the lottery, the Christmas lottery. That is like the main, I would say, like the main starter really for Christmas here in Spain.
The fat one.
The fat one, El Gordo. Very good. Now maybe you have to be too careful to call it the fat one anymore. People are getting more and more sensitive with this kind of thing.
True.
But yeah, it's many people, especially from abroad, ask, like the tradition is all around it, but in terms of prices and in terms of what you spend versus what you can win, it's not like a hefty one. It's not like a big jackpot that it will.
It's not Euro Millions, no.
Correct. It's not Euro Millions, and especially in the last few months that we have seen jackpots of 100 or 200 million euros. If memory serves, it was like 300,000. And I think this is the only one. Maybe your audience can correct me if I'm wrong. And talking off the top of my head here, this is the only one that Hacienda don't take a chunk of it, because the rest of it they do actually. So I'm not
the tax
pretty sure about that.
Doesn't. So the Christmas lottery is not taxed. I have no idea, to be honest. I've never won it, and I rarely play.
The thing is that the people who play, you play like to swap numbers maybe with your family, and probably you will see out there like in the different bars or the restaurants that maybe you are
this is an interesting point, because I know that you could elaborate on this more than me, but the Christmas lottery here, it's like something that you are obliged to do, basically, right? So at work, people buy, there's a number, you're obliged to buy it, because the theory is that, if the company wins and I don't get my share, everyone else is going to be rich and not me. So there's such a huge pressure on people to buy these lotteries. Everywhere you go, somebody's trying to give you a ticket, and it's amazing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of psychological pressure in that, peer pressure, as you might describe it.
That's it.
And yeah, that hits directly, as you said, like what happened, this place that I always go, and talking about, as I said, restaurants, but it could be, I don't know, you have your kids into football, then we have like a number that they share into between everybody. And that is another topic that we can discuss as well. When you go to like a lottery administration and you have like El Décimo, you have one number, okay, and they have have like a series and they have another one. The thing is that this association, maybe they buy a certain chunk of a number, okay, and they slice it in different participaciones. So usually the thing that you buy, that it's not like the real decimal, let's say. The thing that you buy maybe from a bar or a NGO, or an association, or a football club, a sports club, you name it. They usually have like a slice that is like a donation. They say that they sell you that participación for €5. Maybe the actual money that you play, it might be 3 or 4, and the other €1 or €2 usually is like a donation to that association, to that party, you name it.
So they use the Christmas lottery as a way to raise funds for the club or the association or whatever it is. Okay, so it's like a way. Well, no, I don't want to say anything too negative, but it's a way to get, it's some type of fundraising that maybe is not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just clinging, as you say, in the peer pressure that I usually come over here. Individually, maybe you cannot go to see other people having more money than you, and that play in your head. I think that. Well,
what they do also is that on the day of the lottery, the television stations are obsessed with it. So the only images you see are people opening champagne bottles and celebrating, and everyone's jumping up and down, and it's like, oh, how lucky were they to win the lottery, and next year it'll be us, and everybody has that thing, and it's like I said, it's almost like a cult.
The thing is that at that time of the year, maybe they don't have some news, so they just cling on into these kind of stories.
That's right.
The successful stories, and also like the miserable stories. Everybody on this bar, and I come here for lunch every single day. Everybody bought it, and I did it.
That's right. And they have an advertising campaign which is also plays on people's emotions as well. Then you've got the kids from a school in the morning that are there taking the balls out and singing, and it's a real tradition. And like I said, it's almost cult-like.
100%. And those niños that you have described, there's a school in Madrid called Colegio de San Ildefonso. And this is like the school, like the whole tradition of singing the numbers, because as you say, they are in the television for the whole morning. And as I said, maybe there is not as much money in the terms of prices, but the good thing of this is that there is quite a lot of prices. So, for example, if you have the last number of the El Gordo, like the main prize, and you match that last number with your last number, you get El Reintegro. So you get your money back, essentially. Okay.
So there's a lot of money shared around.
Correct. So it's like very widespread, and usually same numbers are not usually sold in just one region, so they share it in between different regions and different administrations. So it's kind of like the typical sentence for the 22nd and 23rd of December is, al menos tenemos salud, for those that don't win anything. So at least we have health.
Yeah,
it's the health day in Spain.
Well, that's right. And a lot of people do spend a lot of money on this. People, as we said, there's the opportunity to buy tickets everywhere, so a lot of money can be spent. That's right. I personally, I see it as some type of tax, basically. Which it could be classified as. Just before Christmas, everybody gets their extra payment, as we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and bang, you spend a couple of €100 on lotteries, back into the system.
100%. And the other thing as well that is interesting to mention, usually the Christmas lottery is starting to be sold from July, August. And there is kind of like a tradition. You go somewhere for holidays, and you wanted to attract the luck, go for that province, go for that trip, and get a number from that province, really? Because ¿qué pasa si toca aquí? That's like, what happens if the Gordo, the main one, comes here to
that's
this
what sucks everybody in. That's exactly right.
Correct. So as you say, playing on emotions, and if you are the lucky one, let us know.
Now we'll move on to the next part of Christmas here, which is what they call in Spanish, is it Noche Buena?
Correct. So one of the main
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas Eve. So one of the main difference that I perceive in between, Alan UK or Australia is like the main event, let's say, for Spanish. And I guess every family is different, but what I know from my circle and my family, etc., Christmas Eve is like the real deal. Really, the Christmas is all about that day. So the main one is the dinner of the Christmas Eve. Okay, and usually in the UK, Ireland, Australia is like the Christmas lunch.
Yes.
Okay. Here in Spain is the Christmas Eve dinner. Okay, so that's
the big one.
Exactly the family one, the one that you want to get together, the one that big table and different generations get into the same table. And in contraposition with what you can see maybe in the Anglo-Saxon sphere, that maybe is all around the turkey or maybe like a roast,
chicken.
Chicken, turkey, any kind of roast, Brussels sprout, gravy, stuffing, all like. Correct. In here is you have mentioned also many times is so diverse in the regional scene in Spain. So we cannot define like there is like a traditional dish that defines Spain. No, that doesn't exist because every region they have like their own goodies. Really. So for example, probably you go to Galicia, it will be all around marisco, I would say. If you go maybe into the Meseta region, the center of Spain, it will be mainly about meat. But again, every family is different. Obviously, how much you want to spend is different. But the price tag for the marisco or maybe for like the chuletón de Ávila, for example, this kind
marisco
of thing.
Is I'll just put seafood.
Yeah. Correct. Thank you. So yeah, it's not just about one main dish, and that is what defines Christmas in Spain. We have such a huge options, really, such a huge amount of options that I would not put my finger into. Yeah, this is Christmas in Spain. It's every family have a tradition, and I can talk about mine. And for example, we tend to.
So Cantabria, what is it? Seafood, I suppose, right? Because it's coastal.
Yeah, it's correct. It's mainly about. We have a little bit of seafood, but it's mainly about like fish. Okay, we tend to get into hake, merluza. My mom does merluza rellena, like stuffed hake. That is quite nice. Usually prawns as well, but kind of like al por mayor. Maybe you get like 1 kilo, 2 kilos of prawns in a big bowl in the center of the table.
Shelf them at the table.
Correct. One typical thing in Spain that there are maybe some people is surprised, like the white asparagus blancos, and then you put a little bit of mayo on top, and the consistency, maybe if you are not very familiar with it, is a little bit weird for somebody that have never tried that kind of thing. So that's another thing that usually is on the table.
Yeah, but these are all the Christmas delicacies. But one thing is common, I think, around the country, Ivan, is that the majority of people like to put on a nice spread, right? So a lot of families spend quite a lot of money because seafood's not cheap. So, seafood is more or less a must, I think, at the majority. Then people like to buy a nice piece of lamb or a nice cut of meat or something like that. A nice piece of fish that you said before, that your mother, she elaborates it, stuffs it with something inside. And so people do go out of their way to put on a nice dinner, don't they, normally?
That is absolutely right. Yeah, I guess you have like the family excuse, they get together, you want to do something nice. I don't know, maybe even once a year with the excuse of, as I said, getting all together and this Christmas mood, if there is anything of that nowadays. But and you mentioned one interesting thing. I think lamb is such a common thing in the UK and Ireland as a dish. For example, for me, lamb, it was a very Christmas thing because I never eat it. Again, I'm talking very personally about my family. I never eat it lamb outside Christmas. Maybe some lamb chops if there is like a barbecue or like a grill or something in summer. But it was mainly a Christmas thing.
Well, lamb in Australia, and I also say in the United Kingdom as well, it's a different concept of lamb. It's not here in Spain, it's a baby lamb, right? So here in Spain you eat a lamb that can hardly walk.
We eat babies in Spain. Yes, sorry.
let's be honest. It's called. I mean, let's be honest. That the lambs that you buy in the traditional Castilian towns are very, very young animals, whereas
Correct.
in Australia, lambs are normally older when they are slaughtered. So we don't get the same baby lamb, and that's why it's considered a delicacy here. And
the
people
same with
normally have it on a special occasion.
correct. The same with the Segovian, the suckling pig. That is a very, very baby pig
Also,
as well.
that's right, very, very young animal when it's killed. That's right, and these are the delicacies. Let's say that people, I'm not going to use that word lightly, but the people in those areas consider those products to be a delicacy for special occasions.
That's correct. It's correct.
Whereas in the UK, Australia, for example, New Zealand, lamb is a Sunday roast.
Yeah, exactly. And it's delicious. I will not vote for that mint sauce that I usually see around there. I know that it's the same as the minty peas. It's like, seriously, who invented that?
Well, you have to like mint and you have to like peas, and
I like peas, but the minty peas, they are really not my cup of tea.
No, those are things that you have to be used to eating, I suppose. All right, good. So that's the Christmas Eve, and that's when also kids sometimes get presents as well if they want to give them on that Christmas period.
Correct. So one of the things that, as I said, with the Halloween, that is like Anglo-Saxon influence. Usually, the present day for us in Spain, it tends to be the 9th from the 5th to the 6th of January. That is like the traditional one, and again, more and more. The Anglo-Saxon customs, the Santa is coming
Father
to Spain
Christmas,
as well.
Santa Claus, yeah.
Correct. So and that night, and then opening on the morning of the 25th. I think you will see it more and more often. I think if you see it from the operational point of view, I think it's much better because at least the kids have the presents earlier, really on the holiday season.
Yeah.
So at least they can enjoy a little bit more. While if you get into the traditional Spanish one, the three wise men are the ones who brought presents to baby Jesus on the Christian tradition.
Yeah.
You just get at the very end of. So basically, the next Monday, really,
you
have to be back in school. So you don't really get too much of a taste of your presents.
Right. Well, that's the reasoning behind why a lot of parents, decide to maybe split the gift giving for the 24th, 25th, and then again on the 6th.
Correct.
So as not to lose that other tradition, because it is something that that as we see these foreign traditions, let's say, because giving gifts, as you said, on the 24th or the 25th is a foreign tradition, not really common here. So, but it is creeping in. So to maintain the other one, that's right, with the three, what do you call them? Three wise men, or the what?
Yeah, three wise men, los Reyes Magos.
Okay, all right, good. And that's the end of the Christmas period here, right?
Correct. That's the very.
And that's we'll get to the 25th. So the 25th is there's also it's a lunch here as well. Not as important as the 24th, maybe some leftovers, but families still do get together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, for those that are married, maybe the 24th dinner, they go, obviously, if the distance is assumable, you get the dinner of the 24th in one house. And maybe
that's right. So maybe 24th is with your parents, 25th with the in-laws, for example.
Correct. That's it. Or the other way around for the next year. But something like that. And as you say, yes, maybe there's a little bit of new things, but it's mainly leftovers. And that's it. Because as you said, it's not as big of a tradition. Usually the kids have the presents or some presents in the morning, as you just have described. So it's a little bit more relaxed, let's say. Okay. So
good. And then on the 26th, the Boxing Day?
Well, I don't think there's much for us.
No,
in general.
There's no celebration on the 26th. That's right. The 25th, everything finishes. 26th,
correct.
In theory, is a working day.
Correct. I think in Catalonia, the 26th and Stephens is being celebrated. We get into this kind of like regional individuality, so they have a little bit more of a different thing, a different tradition. But again, we can talk about the Catalan also is a little bit more different with for example, this nativity scene, the El Belén, when you put all the different figures, you follow the Christian faith. The Catalan, they have this caganer, so there's like a small figure that is pictured being, doing its things.
Okay,
So that is a very typical theme from
right,
Catalonia.
Good. All right, good. So the 26th, everything's back to normal. You said St. Stephen's Day. I think in Ireland they call it St. Stephen's. I think everywhere else it's Boxing Day.
That's correct.
The rest of the time there up until New Year's Eve, because New Year's is a big celebration as well. It's another big dinner.
Correct. The New Year's Eve, that is the other main theme really for this Christmas here in Spain. So again, if you maybe have your in-laws in a certain distance, or maybe you will spend the Christmas Eve and Christmas in one family, and the New Year's Eve and New Year in the other. It's just a good timing for it. The dinner is the main event. Maybe very similar menu, I would say, in comparison with the Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is the uvas.
Okay, the grapes. Yeah, the countdown to midnight.
Correct. So I think, if not, we will explain from the very beginning. Usually, the typical one is the sol, the clock on the Puerta del Sol,
in the center of Madrid.
Correct, in the center of Madrid, in the Kilómetro Cero, there's like a metal plaque there at the bottom that probably many of you out there have taken some pictures of.
Yeah, the zero point in the country, right? So every road in Spain starts in the Puerta del Sol.
Exactly. And we have a radial system. All the main roads that started with a A, A1, A2, A3 until the A6. They start and they are being measured from the Kilómetro Cero. That is, as you said, the Puerta del Sol. So people usually get together. I don't really know this year what will happen with that. To be honest,
there's no restrictions. It's free for all this year. No problem. Yep.
That would be a chilly one, I have to say.
Well, it's always cold. It's always cold there. Yeah.
The clock usually. There's another piece of news for those days when the clock master of Madrid, they go and tune el reloj de la Puerta del Sol. So they tune it and correct, because eating grapes with every single dawn and don't miss up on the quarters and el
has to be perfect.
Exactly, it has to be perfect, and you don't want to choke eating the grapes. So maybe they put a little bit more of a space, or add a little bit of time in between gone and gone. So that is the main event of the night, and usually when the mobile phone networks get a little bit collapsed, everybody try to call each other and wish a new year.
System breaks down. That's it. And then after New Year's, after the 12 o'clock, the families start winding down, maybe have dessert, glass of cava or champagne or whatever they have. And then younger kids start to hit the town around 2 o'clock in the morning. And at around 6 or 7 o'clock, sometimes 8 o'clock, you eat churros con chocolate, right?
That's it. That is absolutely correct. So the young ones will go out. That will be more like the party. Back in my days, you get those tickets in advance for these organized parties. Sometimes, I don't really know nowadays if they go to like a macro discoteca, one of those like discos sitting on the outside that get thousands of people.
Yeah.
But back in my days, they were like a typical bar, or maybe like a group of friends. They rent an actual bar that maybe they will not do an event on that day, and they will just get together there with all the DJs, etc. Correct, and sometimes barra libre as well, depending what you pay.
Yeah. So drinks are free.
Sorry? Yeah, like a free bar. Yeah, basically whatever you order, depending. There's maybe
you pay in advance, right? So maybe you pay, I don't know, 35 euros to get in, and then drinks are free once you're inside.
Correct. Yeah, it really depends. What kind of events, what kind of music, if there is any live event or things like that, or what is included, obviously. And it depends what you pay, depends what you get. You might get just one choice of every single major liqueur, I guess.
Yeah.
Or others you get more international things. So it really depends.
And it's a party atmosphere. You might put a little party hat on your head as well, right? So it's a party atmosphere.
That's it. That's it. So again, in the difference with the UK and Ireland, I think that is not that much of a family get together, or maybe they don't have like a big event for
Well,
the New
again,
Year's Eve.
it's difficult to speak for every family, but I know in my personal situation, there's nothing happens on New Year's Eve except for a party that people go to. Normally, an individual party. People go to. My sister would go to one. I'd go to another. Parents would go to another, and then by 2 o'clock in the morning, even by 1:30, everybody's home. You know, it's not one of these all-nighters that it is here. And a lot of people, honestly speaking, don't even make it to midnight because of the amount of beer that they drink.
You start very, very early.
People start early, finish early. That's the way it is. That's it.
That's true. That's true. Well, in here, maybe you start with a little bit of tardeo, that is more popular and popular. Yeah. So you maybe get warm up with your friends outside, having some drinks here and there. You go back to like your family event, your family dinner, and it fits very well as well with the cultural thing. We in Spain, we tend to have dinner very late, so maybe starting at 10, I would say maybe 9 if you are lucky. We missed one big thing as well. On the 9th of the 24th, on the Christmas Eve, El Mensaje del Rey.
Well, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. I'd probably never watched it. That's why I'd forgotten about it. But yeah, he does give his Christmas speech. But I think the Queen of England does the same thing. I think. Right?
Yeah, I think it's on Christmas, I believe. I
don't know when her birthday is. I don't know when she gives a speech, but I can remember.
Depending what state are you in, Stuart.
Well, I'm not normally drunk, but I can remember seeing the Queen over. Well, the Queen's been around for my whole life, so I'm sure that I've seen her on numerous occasions over the years. That's right. All right, good. Now we'll start to cut it off there, Ivan. So the last thing is as we said before, is the 6th of January. That's the three wise men or three kings, whatever you want to call it. Reyes Magos. And that's when everything comes to an end, and the following Monday, normally, or whichever is the next working day, is back to normal.
Correct. Yeah. Usually it's just straight back into the office, straight back to school.
And then we have the Cuesta de Enero.
Exactly, Cuesta de Enero, and we will explain that in a different day.
That's it. Which next year they say it is going to be steeper than other years. That's right. But anyway,
apparently, there have been some headlines in that regard. Let's see what happens.
That's true. All right, Ivan, we'll cut it off there. Good speaking to you again, and we'll be in contact for next week. Okay.
Pleasure as always, Stuart. Stay
safe.
All
right. See you later. Bye-bye.
See ya.